I've been waiting for some decent weather to go outside and test the new Neo 2 drone, and finally a day came along when it wasn't raining, it wasn't misty and miserable, the sun came out, and it was still cold, but I was able to try a few of the shots that come with the Neo 2. So I'm testing the autonomous modes, just a few of them, because I wasn't too sure how much space I had given all the trees that are around our gardens in the flats where we live. But I did get the circle and the helix and the droney working okay, and then I got the drone to follow me down through the gardens where I zigzagged a little bit, and it seemed to be perfect. In fact, I would say, having seen the results of this, that it does a much better follow than the original Neo Mark 1. How would you fancy a drone that you can actually sit in and fly? Well, there is such a thing. I know I can create these things with AI, but this is real, and it's called the Jetson 1, and it was named after a 60s TV series, which one or two of you may remember.
Meet George Jetson. His boy Elroy. Daughter Judy. Jane, his wife.
And given that was 60 years ago, we had expectations that well before now we'd have all had our own personal flying machines.
Plans to deliver Amazon parcels using drones have been cleared for takeoff from its Darlington warehouse. The online store says it's carried out successful test flights from the site, with Prime services set to be rolled out later this year. Amazon bosses say safety is their top priority, and they've worked closely with Darlington Council and the Civil Aviation Authority.
Help! Help! Jane, stop this crazy thing! Jane! Help! Jane! Welcome to St Helens!
Moving on from Darlington to St Helens. My concessionary pass allows me to travel as far as St Helens Central on the train, and then there's normally a short walk up a couple of hundred yards straight ahead as you come out the station, and you end up in the bus station. Well, now you end up at a load of hoardings and a huge building site. The bus station's not there, and a big shopping centre that was to the left of that's also been razed to the ground. I then take a little walk along the Sankey Canal, and not quite sure where we are here, but we're at the back of the world of glass, and of course St Helens was a huge area for glass manufacturing with Pilkingtons and so on. And back in my radio days in the 80s, I was always playing a commercial, a jingle for St Helens Glass, the big commercial outlet in the area. I popped into the gift shop while I was passing, and I was told that the museum and the cafe weren't open Monday and Tuesday. Oh well, another time. And so I kept moving because I needed a coffee. Buses stop right outside the World of Glass, and just across the road is St Mary's Market, place to go and buy your meat and veg, but also to have that cup of coffee. Now, how did that radio jingle go?
St Helens Glass has the glass.
Pour me another cup of coffee.
Well, by the time I got the train back over to Liverpool and then to the Wirral, I was in need of another cup of coffee, so I got off the train at Port Sunlight. And the two coffee shops that are right opposite the station, they were both closed. And guess what? They were closed Monday and Tuesday. This is something I'm going to have to learn about which days I go out and travel on. Anyway, Port Sunlight is so close to Birkenhead, it's hard to believe that it's not out in the country once you get there, with pleasant parkland and a particular style of houses that owes itself to Lever Brothers, historically, a story for another time. But today I was in search of that cup of coffee, and I knew there was one somewhere, and I kept on walking. It's a really nice village with quite a few things to look at, including a museum, and rather dominant at the end of a long avenue, the Lever Art Gallery. Now, the cafe in there has some really good food, and it's in the basement, so if you're one of those people who likes to be on your phone all the time, that's not the one for you, because there's no signal down there. Going back to the 60s and the days of the Jetsons, there was a program on TV called Tomorrow's World, which was predicting the future and showing you what gadgets were coming out. And at the time, we were all led to believe that within a few decades, we'd all have robots in our houses that would look after us. Never happened, did it? We do now have AI, but that's all sort of encased in a computer. It's not an actual physical thing in your home. I've been dreaming up some of these possible robots that could help us around the house. As I say, they don't exist, but AI just creates things that don't exist just to show you what they would be like if we really had them. We don't need an army, we just need the one. And we're going to help these girls who are also AI generated, who are doing some baking. And we're going to enlist the robots to help them to make the cakes. After all, kids don't really want to be working at little things like that when they could get robots to do it for them. I'm beginning to learn how I can use AI to tell a story, and it's fairly cheap, if not free, to generate still images like these. And I did eventually reach the end of the story, and the robot had baked a cake, was getting it out of the oven, and was sitting down with the girls to eat it, except robots don't eat, so of course it's all left for the girls, they can have the lot. I've had a go at creating mythical creatures before, and I did choose mermaids. This time I decided to put them in an environment, and I asked the AI to put them in a lake where there were some swans swimming round. Only I think the AI got a bit confused here, as they seem to have merged a swan with a mermaid. So I'm starting on a quest for 2026 to see if I can make a whole mini-movie just by creating all the scenes with AI. 4 ingredients: we have the scenery, we have the human beings, we have the robot, and now we've got the mythical creature, the mermaid. And I want them all to interact with each other so it all seems very real.
Finally meet you.
We've heard so much about your world.
Data indicates this interaction is highly positive.
The pleasure is all mine.
What I've learned is that you can't get too complex with these simple AI generators, and adding an extra element into the scene can confuse it.
Is it okay if I join you?
Because mermaids definitely can't fly. I spent the 70s living in a 30-foot Bedford coach, and so I thought maybe I'll recreate a road trip of the sort that we were doing day in, day out. So I asked it to generate the old-fashioned coach and put it on the road. And it couldn't control all the different types of traffic it was passing, and created some real odd-looking things. I only have a few pictures of the coach, one of it parked in Morrison's car park in Morley near Leeds, one of it out in a lay-by, typical scene we'd wake up to, and another one back in Morley which is front-facing and is probably the best shot to use. So I decided we should start my road trip by the coach leaving the car park. There's a couple of things that the AI didn't know, like what the back of the coach looked like, and I didn't tell it to have a driver, so it didn't put one in.
In a paper town, the wires hum. Blueprint dreams in a server drum.
You said, pick a door we'll both walk through, and the screen bloom worlds we never knew. Here's to the robots learning how to dance, rust on their hearts, sparks in their hands. Here's to the angels, dragons, queens, sketched in code like painted scenes. Side by side in the light they cast, all these strangers, the dice roll fast. We're singing for the ones we've never seen, characters of someone's bright machine.
There's a tired nurse on a midnight train, pocket full of names she can't explain. a fox in boots with a crooked grin, a boy made of rain and violin. Here's to the robots learning how to dance, rust on their hearts, sparks in their hands. Here's to the angels, dragons, queens, sketched in code like painted scenes. Side by side in the light they cast, all these strangers, the dice roll fast. We're singing for the ones we've never seen, characters of someone's bright machine.